Hey guys, welcome back to the FiveBoroughSportsPod. I'm Nick. This is Pablo to my left, and we are excited, man. The playoffs are starting, the Yankees and the Mets, and we're just gonna get right into this. First, we're gonna start talking about Mets game one, and then we're gonna go into Yankees game one as well, and then after that, Mets game two. So let's just start it off with a crazy game one from the Mets. Pablo, take it away.
Game one for the Mets, it didn't disappoint. It didn't disappoint at all. The Mets with another comeback like usual in great fashion. Um, I made some key points in the last video we made. I said what the Phillies' game plan was against Kodai Senga, which was to have Kyle Schwarber lead off, maybe to get a home run, and that is exactly what he did. First at bat for Kyle Schwarber, first at bat for Kodai Senga in the postseason. He hit a home run, and the Phillies executed on that perfectly, but they couldn't execute against the Mets bullpen. The Mets bullpen pitched a phenomenal game, especially David Peterson, who just he's just been the go-to guy, I think, for the Mets this uh, postseason, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean David Peterson, like we said in the last episode, I had a feeling that they were going to go to Peterson after Senga, and that's what they did. They weren't looking to go with Senga too long. Definitely can be a bullpen option for Game Three if needed. But yeah, they pitched a really good game and they stayed in it. And like I said too, man, like the Mets did in Game Three against the Brewers, they stuck in. They gave, and like I said, that one inning was all they needed, and they got that one inning with 5 runs, and then add that extra insurance run in the ninth inning. So yeah, the Mets just did what they had to win Game One and get a game on the road. And the first game was big with Senga versus Wheeler, the Phillies' best pitcher. So yeah, they played a really good game, the Mets, and they knew what they were doing, and they got some type of momentum, even like the past momentum they have, even more in this game one, and they played a really good game.
Zach Wheeler, he's an absolute problem in the playoffs, in my opinion. The guy had 9 strikeouts. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that is probably the most strikeouts by a pitcher this postseason so far. So doing that in game one was insane against the Mets roster that had just been hot. He shut them down for 7 innings of baseball. And in that crucial eighth inning for the Mets in game one, they showed, hey, we're here to play. And, these guys, they never give up. And that's the one good thing about this team. They don't give up. They always show heart. And I think that's going to take them a long way if they continue to play like that, especially the bullpen. Uh, Ryan Stanek, he got a little rocky, giving up a run. But, that happens. One run, that didn't affect us. They ended up winning the game 6-2. So I think that is a great W for the Mets. They had to take that one, and they gotta use that as a sort of a game plan, going into game three. We already know the outcome of game two, which we'll get to later. But going into game three, they gotta look back at game one and, know how they gotta work these Philly pitchers.
Yeah, they really did. Game one really like just stuck in it, and their offense. They even they worked some at bats early on. I think they went what one hit in the how many how many hits did they have in the beginning of the game? How long did they go
Francisco
scoreless?
Lindor had the only 2 hits for the Mets the whole game, up
That
until
was the
that
Brewers
eighth.
game. That was the I think this one did they when did they get their first hit? It was the let me see. Um, they got I don't think they had a hit till the fourth inning, Vientos, and then after that, they went till the eighth without getting a hit. So that being said, like going that long without getting a hit and just be able to one inning against one of the best relievers in the game this season, and Jeff Hoffman is just insane. Really good game from the Mets offense and the pitching. I mean, that's the one thing that Mets can keep doing is staying in the games like they did against the Brewers in Game Three. Like I was saying, they can they can keep in these games and they can win the series against the Phillies. Especially the Phillies bullpen is weaker than people would expect, and if the Mets bullpen can just play up to par with it with a really good game from Reed Garrett coming out and coming in after Peterson, they Reed Garrett was big for them. Like 2 innings and no hits, no one on, just up and down. The guys just had the Phillies had no offense, and I think they went from they didn't have a hit. The first hit they had was in the first inning, and then after that, they didn't get a hit till the ninth or like the eighth or something. They went like 15 batters without a hit or something. So yeah, definitely a big, huge game one for win for the Mets, and definitely they need to look to build off this. And like Pablo said, we do know the outcome of game two, but game one is it's just such a good start for the Mets in the series.
Yeah.
So, so with that being said, then we get to the later night game. We get to the Yankees game one against the Royals, and man, this was a roller coaster game. This was the most lead changes in a postseason history. There was 5 lead changes from starting off with the Royals, then back to the Yankees, to the Royals, and from a Yankees fan, my perspective on this game, we got the win. That's all that matters. We won 6-5. Whatchamacallit. But yeah, that was a huge win for the Yankees. I mean, Cole, rough start. Like, he could not find his way. Even from the first inning, they had 3 long fly balls to start the game off. And that's just, I kind of saw it, and I was like, Cole didn't look to his best. His velocity wasn't there. I mean, I don't think he's been throwing 99 consistently this whole entire season, especially coming off that injury, and didn't pitch a full season. But still, like, he was down to 95, and his just breaking pitches weren't anything at all. And then when Volpe makes that error, that the team couldn't get a big hit in situations, but they battled. Judge didn't have a good game, but Soto and Verdugo and even Jazz with that big hit. Even though the stolen base, I myself will say that I don't think he got in. At first, watching it like from far, since I was on my couch, I could not see too well. And then when I saw later on my phone, kind of close up, you can kind of tell he was out. His foot wasn't on the bag. That was a weird play because he got a horrible jump, and then Perez absolutely launched the ball in the air. And he should have easily been in there. It was an easy jump and that was a bad play, and that's what I mean by a shaky win. There should have been plays which should have been easier. That Volpe, the Tim Hill easy double play, and he just threw it right over towards his head. And that second and third, and like I said, Yuli Gurriel is the guy they should have watched for. He got on almost every at bat besides one at bat. Walked twice, worked amazing at bats against Cole. His other at bat against was it? I think it was Canely. That was the other time he got on, or was it? Let me see. He had a long at bat. It was against. It was against Holmes. No, okay, no, it wasn't. No, it was a different one. It was against Hill, I think. Then. Let's see. Okay, no, So he did. He reached a long walk. I don't know. Sometime in the game, he had a long at bat and it just couldn't get him out. I think it was against Cole. Cole threw like 10 pitches or so. Something. It was a long at bat. But besides the point, yeah, I mean, like we were saying, and we honestly called a lot in yesterday's episode. And yeah, Yuli Gurriel absolutely was insane, and Cole just needs to look to bounce back. He's older, and like even though it's kind of not an excuse, 9 days without a start is gonna affect you, even though you're pitching in camp and everything. And definitely a good win for the Yankees. Torres big, but it's good that all the other guys can contribute while Judge doesn't have a good game. 3 strikeouts, and just couldn't get that big hit in the first inning when we kind of needed him to. Could have set up the game in a different way totally. So just a big win for the Yankees, but definitely need to look to improve on this game in general.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, uh, a lot of guys came up big for the Yankees yesterday when Aaron Judge was down. Alex Verdugo being one of them. He was one of those guys in the regular season who you didn't know if he was going to have a good game or not, but in the playoffs he showed, I deserve to be here. I deserve to start. And I think he played an amazing game, not only on the offensive side, but on the defensive side as well. He flashed the glove a lot. And you also have a guy like Juan Soto, who is he loves the energy that Yankee Stadium was given yesterday. They rallied behind the team even when they were down, and that's crucial when it comes to playoff games. You always want your fans to be behind you, even when you're down. And even a guy like Gleyber Torres, another guy who's just had a roller coaster of a season. There was games that he played amazing. There was games that you would think, how is this guy in the major leagues? But he showed up yesterday, hit a crucial home run for the Yankees. And I think if the Yankees continue to play like that and Judge picks up his play, I think the Yankees could be the scariest team in baseball in the postseason.
Yeah, just a peculiar game in general from the Yankees. Shows that the rest kind of didn't help them at all, but just them to be able to go out there and win the game and just battle and just like a giddy win in general, was it's good that they could actually come out with the win, and the bullpen did honestly look pretty good. And Combs coming out the bullpen, I think he started in the sixth or the yeah, he came out in the sixth, and yeah, he was lights out. I mean, big game changer for the Yankees pitching, and for them to be able to get on the board again, and just it's the Yankees didn't use the long ball either too much, which was good because in the postseason you can't rely on it. I mean, you can show in 2022 when the Yankees tried to rely on the long ball. Most of their runs was off the long ball. Big 3-run home run from Stanton, a couple 2-run home runs in the ALDS against the Guardians, and then obviously we know what happened in the ALCS against the Astros. But it shows that they can, if they get those big base hits, and like Pablo said, the guys around him, Torres, Verdugo. I thought Verdugo wasn't going to start. I thought they were going to go with the kid, but I think he might get to start tomorrow over Verdugo because of the fact there's Reagan's on the mound. But we'll talk about that once we get to the preview on tomorrow's game. But yeah, I mean, this was just a weird game. The weirdest postseason game I've ever watched as a Yankee fan. At least in my memory. Not like 2017, 2018 had some weird games too. But yeah, this was a weird game, but at least they were able to come up with the win. You had to win with Cole on the mound against Waka. I mean, it wouldn't be an excuse. You cannot lose once your ace is against their third starter. So, just a good game for the Yankees and looking to build off it. And some weird stuff that happened, like the Chisholm stolen base and the Volpe error. And you hope that Volpe can just not do that. I mean, like, if the kid can't hit, fine. But errors like that is not acceptable in a game like that. And I trust in the kid sometimes, but his defense is insane. But that there is just shown that that was just total under pressure, and that would be a big play, and he just couldn't handle it. And I really hope that does not happen again because that can be a serious issue. But I have faith in him. I think he can play the good defense like he knows how to play. I think he had another play he made a really good play on at some point in the game. But also, Oswaldo Cabrera at first base. I mean, that kid was scooping every ball. Jazz made some good plays, don't get me wrong. But there was a throw that Jazz made to Oswaldo that he absolutely, horrible throw. Like, horrible. And Cabrera was able to reach out, I don't know how, and scoop it up. Made some insane first base plays, like Rizzo plays, and I don't think you can start Rice when that guy is doing that stuff defensively when you need guys to make scoops like that. If you have Jazz at third making those throws and Volpe who looks wild after that one throw, and you don't know how he's going to throw in Torres. I mean, Torres should be fine. He's been here before. So definitely an interesting game from the Yankees. And obviously Luke Weaver with the save. I mean, that guy, him and Ursag remind each other so much. They're both so similar closers, and they're both like small too, so it's kind of like they throw their pitches the exact same way, and it's definitely just a weird game. And game two, I'm excited for, and I hope it's not as weird as this one, and with a Yankees win, so hopefully.
Yeah.
So yeah, going
All
on to
right.
Mets game three, or game two, sorry. Whatchamacallit, I was not able to watch this game at all because I had work, but Pablo, I know, watched the game, so he can definitely explain much more on what happened. I can really only look at the stats and see what happened. I have not had time to watch the game yet, so Pablo.
Uh, it was it was a great game. You know, the Mets didn't come up with the win this time. Like in game one, they took an early lead. This game though, Mark Vientos, who's probably been the hottest bat for the Mets this postseason. This kid, I've had faith in him since day one. Since they said they were going to call him up. When they didn't call him up after spring training this season, I knew they made a mistake. I knew they made a mistake. This is the guy that I wanted to play third base for the New York Mets this season. And when they finally got the call, I knew he was going to disappoint. And in the postseason, he's just proven my point all the way through. This guy's coming up clutch in his first postseason ever. He's hitting home runs, and he hit one, well, not one, but two today in two crucial moments. He hit one to get the Mets on the board early, which was amazing that he was able to do that, hit a 2-run homer. And we had guys like Pete Alonso hitting home runs as well today, getting us on the board again. And an amazing start. We had a great start from Luis Severino. up until that sixth inning where he gave up 3 runs, a 2-run home run to Bryce Harper and a home run to Nick Castellanos, which honestly, in those situations, you don't know how to pitch to these guys. With Trey Turner on base, that's a scary situation. This guy could steal any bag with ease. And with Bryce Harper up to bat, you don't know if you want to pitch to him with 2 outs or you want to walk him with 2 outs with Castellanos looming on deck. And Severino decided to pitch to him. That was the game plan, I guess, from the pitching coach. And he had a 2-run shot. Castellanos came up to bat. And honestly, Castellanos' home run was a little iffy to me because it kind of seemed like Severino threw him a meatball right down the plate. But you know what? It's all right. The inning ended after that. They were able to get out of the inning. And the Phillies ended up taking a lead later on with Bryson Stott. Bryson Stott, he's an amazing player. Hit a triple, 2-run triple, gave the Phillies the lead. And you know, these things happen. But of course the Mets, they don't go down without a fight. Like I said about game one, Mark Vientos ended up tying the game with a 2-run shot, making it 6-6. And the game ended with the Nick Castellanos walk-off single. So it was a good game overall. But I think the key thing that we saw in this game was that the Mets may have an Edwin Diaz problem. We don't know if we could rely on this guy like we always did. And today kind of proved the fact. Even after the Braves game, we gave this guy a chance, and he gave up those runs. But he came up in the next inning and he helped us out. But today, he just couldn't do his thing, and the Phillies scored crucial runs on him. That if those runs weren't scored, I would be here telling you all the great things about this Mets win today. But hey, man, that's baseball. Things happen, and yeah.
Yeah, so I was gonna ask, do you think they should have pulled Severino after the 2-run home run by Harper, or do you think that was right to leave him in the game?
Um, Honestly, from the standpoint that he was in, it makes sense to leave him in, but from my perspective, I thought that they should have pulled him out, even though he was pitching a gem of a game and it looked like he was going to pitch in the seventh before those 2 home runs were hit. I think they should have pulled him out for the sheer fact that Nick Castellanos is not a hitter to mess with. This guy hits home runs. He is not your average single hitter
Yeah.
guy. He wants to hit a home run anytime he's
Hmm.
up at the plate. Anytime you give him a chance, he's gonna take that chance. And Severino basically served it to him on a platter, if I'm gonna be honest with you. So yeah, I think that they should have definitely pulled out Severino. But I think Mendoza saw something in him. He wanted to give him a chance. He wanted to trust his pitcher,
Yeah.
which is a good thing for a manager to do. But this is a playoff game, and, honestly, I think they got to go into next game and think about what to do in another situation like that, if another situation like that is presented upon them.
Yeah, I saw that they kept him in. I feel like what Mendoza's problem is you have this guy that's been absolutely insane throughout the whole entire game, and you don't really have confidence in that one guy that can
Mhm.
get you those outs. Because even Hoffman, what's his name that did good in game one? Reed Garrett, after you can't pitch him because he threw 23 pitches, they want to kind of try to keep his arm fresh. He even can be inconsistent to a certain extent too. So when you don't know who to pitch after, even though Budo too, like he had a good season, but like in the wild card game, he gave up those shots to Bowers and then Freelick. So it's like, who can you go to? Who can you trust? When you have this guy that's been absolutely insane and mowing down the Phillies the whole entire game, it looks like the Phillies just couldn't hit, and then all of a sudden, it's just they started going off against the Mets bullpen. And I think Diaz came out and in for the 7-out save. How? No, he came in the eighth, so he came out for the 6-out save, I think it was. Yeah, he came out for the 6-out save, and it's some situation that I feel like I understand why you're going to Diaz, but you just can't. Diaz has not been that guy like he was 2 years ago before he had the injury that you can just go to in these situations. You have to try to go to someone else that can come in the middle of an inning and get you the ground ball. Like even Ottavino to a certain extent. I think Ottavino didn't pitch game one, did he? Um, No, he didn't. That's a guy that can, even though it's not prime Ottavino anymore, but can get you that ground ball. And even though he's not, it's really hard to decide who you got to go to here. But I, as me not watching the game and not knowing like the Mets relievers all that well and what situations you can use them, it's just all a matter of fact of like it's hard for the Mets to decide who they got to go to in certain situations, and that has to be their key, and they have to find that will get them through this series and will make them go on a deeper run than they already can because their offense is literally amazing right now. They're coming up in big spots, like you said, Vientos, and they're having these big innings and they're getting these big hits when they need them, and they are playing postseason baseball to a great extent. It's just a bullpen right now. You don't know when you can go to these guys, and you got to start taking start. I mean, what starters can you use to a certain extent? But yeah, it's not wasn't looking too good from the Mets bullpen this game. But this game did seem like such a good game, and from both sides, especially the Phillies, just to battle through it and get that first win of the series and try to push some momentum to their side. Even though the Mets are still playing good and they get to go play 2 games at home now, and have to try to go win Game 3. It's a crucial win. You can't let them take Game 3 and try to win Game 4 as well. Now you just got to take it game by game, this Game 3 and 4, and you get an off day tomorrow. Your bullpen can reset, but you got to find when you can go to these guys in good situations, the relievers, so.
Yeah, honestly, game three is gonna be it's gonna be one to watch. With the rest day in between, finally the Mets get a day of rest after a lot of baseball. These guys got a lot of pressure on them. They came back in these critical situations, Brave series, Milwaukee series, and now to begin the Philly series. But now they gotta go home. They get to go home for the first time in weeks. These guys haven't been home in weeks, and they're finally gonna go home and they get to prove to their fans we're here to play for you guys. And I think a game three win for the Mets could mean more than just a 2-1 lead over the Phillies. That's a statement win. That's a win to show the Phillies, listen, you guys weren't supposed to win last game. We're gonna take this one and we're gonna take game four against you guys as well. And I feel like the Mets, they have to take this day of rest and they have to improve. Their pitching they have to get there. We got Manai on the mound in game three, and he has just been amazing. I think if the Mets play their baseball offensively, Manai is gonna take care of it defensively. And he has a great infield behind him and a great outfield behind him. And game three is just gonna be it could go their way. It could go their way if they play their cards right. Like I said about game one last time, if they play their cards right, this is going to be a great game for the Mets.
Yeah, so just a insane game, but at least the Mets did take one on the road, and it's tied up 1-1, and they can try and win both games at home. And they're in this series to win it, man. And this is a close series, and this series will probably go to Game 5. I don't think they're gonna sweep the Phillies at home. I think this series is gonna go back to Philly, especially when you tie a series at 1-1. It's most likely it's gonna go back. It's gonna be a back and forth series. I mean, I feel like we all knew this going into this series. So, yeah, just what a series so far. Seriously, the first time the Phillies and Mets have ever played in the playoffs before, and this is just has been a series that everyone will remember. And the Mets, they are playing some good baseball just against a team that's supposed to make the World Series at the year, and the Mets weren't even supposed to make the playoffs. So yeah, getting into now the previews for Yankees ALDS Game 2 and Mets NLDS Game 3. I feel like we should talk about just ALDS Game 2 before we talk about just because it's the day before. Um, but yeah, the Yankees tomorrow are gonna have to prove that they they can go up 2-0 and that they're not a team to mess with. Both the teams today, the Dodgers lost and then the Phillies won. So both series are tied up at one apiece, and we'll see what happens in the Guardians Tigers. But don't do what these other teams are doing. Don't tie it up 1-1. Get your rest. Get more rest after you're playing some baseball. It's not that long of a rest. It'll be till if they can win in 3 or 4 games. It'll be maybe I think the series starts next Tuesday. No, it starts Monday. So it'll be like 4 days, 5 days. But get your extra rest. Still, and prove to these guys that you don't want to mess with us. We're gonna fly through this division. We're gonna get more rest than you can. Even though sometimes rest doesn't help, like I was saying before. But yeah, they're gonna have to prove, and they're gonna have to get a big hit tomorrow. They had big hits yesterday, but I'm talking about a big hit. The biggest hit yesterday was Torres' home run to take the lead. But they're going to have to get that hit. They put runners on. They walked 8 times yesterday, walked more than they struck out, which is something they did not do in the regular season a lot. They did it from time to time, but you saw it more in the earlier season. But when it got down to the later part of the season and the stretch, they were mostly not doing that as much, so they were able to get on base, and they had opportunities with the bases loaded, no outs. They need to get that. If it is not a home run, it's a base and clearing double, or it's something like that for them to break the game open. They were not able to break the game open, and that's their key to the game tomorrow, is breaking the game open and Rodon coming out and shoving, and they're going to have to hit the lefty. And like I was saying, I don't think Verdugo is going to start tomorrow. I think he's going to pinch hit at a certain point of the game, they're going to tell him you're going to come off the bench at some point. But I think Dominguez is going to come in with the lefty. I think they're going to want to put that extra guy on the right side against Reagans, which Reagans I think is really good against left-handed batters. Let me see. He's actually worse against lefties than righties. So honestly, I think they're still going to go with Verdugo then. Definitely Wells will play. So Oswaldo will be in there too. So I guess they're going to go with Verdugo tomorrow. Then this guy is not good against lefties. So looking to see a big hit from Soto, who homered off him a couple weeks ago. Big home run after fouling the ball off his foot. I mean, if you remember that. So Wells too. So these guys are going to have to get big hits tomorrow. And tomorrow's going to be a big game, man. The fans showed up in game one, man. Even when the team was down, they were playing horrible. The fans went out and absolutely support the team amazingly, and that's what we need to do. And Rodon's going to need to pitch a big game after not pitching in like 9 days as well. 8 days. I think, no, 9 days. So, yeah, tomorrow's going to be a big game for the Yankees, and hopefully they can pull it out. And they're going to have to look to not let these smaller players get big hits like in game one, like Melendez absolutely destroyed. And do not let Salvi at all get anything from Rodon, because he absolutely kills Rodon. Not good at all. So the Yankees need to come out. They need to get that big hit tomorrow, and they need to not make errors, and they need to play smarter. Smarter baseball in the playoffs, not like game one, because game one could have been a 10-5 game. So it's going to be an interesting game tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I think tomorrow for the Yankees, I think the key thing that they gotta work on that I saw from watching the game yesterday is Giancarlo Stanton. I gave him a lot of praise in the first podcast, saying that he was going to be a critical guy for them. But yesterday, it just seemed like he was a pain in the side. His running, he's not the same Giancarlo Stanton. He's not Mike Stanton on the Miami Marlins. This is Giancarlo Stanton out of his prime. And I think they got to work on his running game, and it's gonna pay off if they could help the guy out. Honestly, if it doesn't work out the way he runs, I think it's time to take him out of the lineup and try something else.
Yeah, I don't think Stanton should lead the lineup, but I do think that in a bigger situation, if it's maybe the seventh inning and you need that run to score from first base and it's a close game, that you can maybe think about pinch running someone. But it's so hard because his bat's so valuable, and like you said, he did cost us 2 runs. The Oswaldo double would have scored anyone, literally. I think Wells would have scored from first base. Any of our catchers would have. He cannot run faster than that because of his injury past and everything. That Stan just can't run faster than that, and it's hard because you want to keep this guy in because the guy can hit a grand slam, he can hit a big home run, and it's so hard to decide what you can do with this guy. But his running is seriously something that it really hurt us in game one, and it honestly didn't even hurt us that much in the regular season. I just feel like since the stakes were higher and he did get on base those 2 times that yeah, it was definitely a hurt to see him run around the base, and definitely would have been nice to get that extra run from the Oswaldo double. I think that would have tied the game too, right after they hit the go-ahead home run. So Stanton, I hope to see him get a big hit tomorrow against a lefty, Cole Reagans. I don't know his career stats against him. He hasn't faced him much. He's over 3 with 2 strikeouts, but hopefully he can change it around and get a big hit in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a big game tomorrow for the Yankees, regardless. Hopefully, they can come out and get the win and go up 2-0. That'd be the best case scenario. Going into Kansas City would almost automatically win you the series. It'd be hard for Kansas City to come back, even though they do go home for 2 games. But the Yankees in the past have played good in Kansas City, even though this is the playoffs, and the Yankees do not feel any pressure, especially in Kansas City. I think there's going to be a lot of Yankee fans there too. So there's going to be a huge game tomorrow, and hopefully the Yankees can come out and ball, man, and play less sloppier game than game one. But that's the preview for game two for the Yankees, and now we get into game three for the Mets. This is a huge game. We know the pitching matchup. It's going to be Manaea versus Nola, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I mean that's a really good pitching matchup. Both guys insane seasons. Manaea is having the best season of his career and the biggest team he's played for, the best team he's played for in his career. So the keys to this game is definitely to I win it. I mean, what else? There's no other keys. Win it. Win the ball game. That's it. Like, try to get Lindor going in this series. Definitely hasn't had that big hit yet. So you're looking to see
Yeah.
something big from Lindor as well. But yeah, I mean, the Mets are gonna, like you said, haven't been home in a couple weeks, and they're gonna have to show to these fans, man. These fans are riled up, and City Field is it's gonna be a madhouse and on Wednesday, Tuesday. So yeah.
I'm hoping that there's a sea of white and blue rather than a sea of red in that field. These guys, they deserve for the fans to be there. They got it this far. They gotta see that they didn't get that far for nothing. They gotta get their support. And I feel like these guys at home, they know the stakes. They know that if they lose one game at home, they lose the first game at home. To be honest with you, they know they're in against the wall. Their backs are against the wall. They have to win game four after that. Game five is in Philly, like you said. This game three is probably going to be one of the most important games for the Mets right now. This game determines if they're going to have their backs going against the wall in game four, or if they're going to have Philly's backs against the wall in game four. And honestly, with that being said, the key problem here is Quintana on the mound in game four. I believe that the Mets are going to go to Quintana. There's no doubt in my mind that they don't go to him. But what's going to happen in that critical game if we're not up 2-1 in the series? So I think this game, with our best pitcher on the mound in Sean Manaea, I think that this has to be the game they have to win. After a crushing loss in game two, they got to go in now and they got to win this one. It's going to
Yeah.
be the same lineups, I believe, from the
Yeah.
first 2 games. So I think they just got to go in and win this one, like game one.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are facing all righties pretty much out of the starting pitching, unless they ever do go to Suarez, which it's a 5 game series, so they're not gonna have to go to Suarez. So yeah, it's probably gonna be the same lineup. You're not gonna be able to see. I think Bader started tonight, but it depends like these guys' stats against these guys. But yeah, like you said, Manaea is your best starter against Nola, who isn't their best starter, but they're similar pitchers. So it's definitely an evener matchup. But yeah, I mean it's your best pitcher in the mountain, and you're home. You have to go out and like you said, your back's up against the wall. You don't want that to happen. You want to win this game and you want to try to close it out on Thursday. So like you said, definitely going to be a huge game for the Mets, and hopefully definitely the biggest game of the series, and it's going to make or break what they can do for the rest of the series. So hopefully the Mets can come out and get this win. I personally think that it's going to be just a brawl of a game, just like this game was today. I mean, these games have just been absolutely insane. Like, brawls just... wow. What a series so far, seriously. Definitely one of the better series we've seen in years so far through 2 games.
Yeah.
So yeah, these games are going to be fun to watch. We definitely are going to do another episode on these series before. I think we probably will have one around like Wednesday or so after both teams play on Wednesday, Tuesday or Wednesday. Definitely recapping more on what happened. But we hope that we can get more going and with the podcast and everything. We appreciate everyone through 2 episodes coming on, and this is just the start of everything. So for the FiveBoroughSportsPod. So we appreciate everything, guys, and we'll be back again to recap the Giants and Jets games over the Sunday, which were some crazy games that happened over the weekend, and definitely the Rangers start this week. Same with the Islanders, and the Knicks and Nets both starting their preseason this week. So we appreciate everything, guys. We're gonna keep making more content. We're gonna keep showing who we are and showing that hey, we fucking love New York sports, even though we might not have the fucking same teams. We love this shit. So thank you guys very much for supporting the podcast, and we will post another episode soon, guys. Thank you very much. I'm Nick. This is Pablo, and thank you guys, man. Thank you guys so much.